Folks, we got a lot to cover. One story. We're going to start off right away with a story that directly affects people like me. If you are not already familiar with myself, as a proud Minnesotan, as a proud lifelong resident of the beautiful state of Minnesota, with someone who's flirted with the state of North Dakota, I've always been a proud indulger in the hemp business. I discovered it a little bit when I was in my youth. I played with it here and there when I was around it, you know. And when you're younger and whatnot, you don't really have as much access to it and whatnot. But when you're around shitty people, then they start to, it'll be on like what's it called? The tables, the couch, like right out in front where the kids watch TV and shit and whatnot. Like you're in certain dens as a kid, you know what I mean, where it's a little more accessible. So weed has always been kind of like this, not exactly prevalent theme in my life. I would say that after I graduated high school, I started routinely smoking because that's just, it helped. It is, I will admit it, I'm dramatically addicted. I love the way it makes me feel. It will hopefully never stop making me feel this way. It works for me. It's a high that, whatever. I don't drink nearly as much as I used to now, so I consider that a win. And most people who do weed nowadays should consider that a win. If you're not drinking as much, then that's something. It's not... Listen, weed is not the best thing for you. I'm not like a hippie that's going to be like, yeah, man, your life's going to be extended if you fucking smoke this, and it's just going to make you way at centered. No, if it works for you, it works for you. If it makes you feel a certain way, it makes you feel a certain way. If it makes you freak out, it's not for you. That's it. There's no other way to slice it. Listen, weed is one of those things where I think we need to have an honest conversation where, okay, all right, so we got to talk about this. As weed people, there's a lot of conversation about whether or not it's an addictive substance. It's a, what's it called? Yes, it is. I think that potheads, especially people that are really vehement about weed, people like me, people that are like fervent users, fervent defenders, we need to recognize the fact that there is a habit-forming element to this thing. Obviously, it's a skill issue. Like, if you do get addicted to weed, it's like a you problem because... My God, dude, if weed is really something that's going to shake you to your inner core and it's going to be your demon, you don't want to touch anything else. I'm just going to let you know. Mushrooms were peak. I will say that. Mushrooms were one of my favorite experiences. I haven't messed around with it nearly as much after about 2024 was the last really solid trip that I had. But I was like, I don't think that's entirely fair because I also did get viciously high in early 2025 on mushrooms, and I went to Aldi's, and I had a horrific shopping experience. I was on my way home, and the road in front of me, the sidewalk and whatnot, my fiance was there with me. Everything looked like it was going forward, and then it was a weird experience. Folks, weed is one of those things where if it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I can't slice it any other way. And if you're weak for weed, I'm sorry, it's kind of a skill issue. Like, yeah, buddy, stay away from drugs overall. It's not your thing. It's really not. If you have an addictive personality or whatever, and you like are smoking when the moment you wake up, bro, I'm dignified. I don't have a hit until I come on the show. I come on the show and I take a hit and I have fun with you guys. And then I have some coffee to keep me sharp. It's really good. Folks, the United States government shutdown is to end after 43 long days, but not without its snags on THC and ACA. But that's another three-letter acronym that I'm going to be honest with you, nobody gives a shit about in comparison to THC. Fuck Obamacare, I'm enrolled, I don't care, I get free healthcare through the indigenous population. Thank you, White Earth Reservation, appreciate it. Sorry, whiteys, you're going to have to struggle with this, but get off our land! I don't know. Like, listen, I will never be the waving a feather Indian person, but if I'm like a descendant, I'm not enrolled, but I'm a descendant. I got like 14% or something indigenous. If it's enough to get me healthcare or whatever, I'll take it. You know what I mean? I'll take it. That's awesome. I can't be held responsible for who my parents are. It's chill. I love it. Folks, after a record-breaking 43 days, the United States government shutdown has officially come to an end after former President Donald Trump, former and current, signed a bipartisan spending bill late Wednesday night. The shutdown, the longest in United States history. Folks, you were here to witness history with me. This is great. Isn't it fantastic? It had paralyzed large portions of the federal government, furloughed hundreds of thousands of workers, and left millions of Americans without access to key public services. You probably all remember that. Fuck, that coffee is giving me bad acid reflux. But seriously, it was a weird time to be alive. Critical programs such as food aid, national parks, the housing support were suspended or even severely limited. And many federal employees were forced to work without pay, as we remember. TSA was giving them some trouble and whatnot. I'm TS motherfucking A. We handle shit. They haven't been handling shit the last 43 days. I'm sorry to say it. That guy from Get Out is wrong. The reopening comes after weeks of tense negotiations between congressional leaders and the White House, which finally produced a temporary funding agreement that will keep the government running through the next fiscal quarter. They've had 8 weeks of paid vacation, and now that we have sufficiently suffered, the Democrats and the Republicans are feeling good. Their tummies are full. They had a great lay around all over they went back to the states that they represent, and then they fucking, they did their thing. And now they're happy and they're ready to work again. So guess what? That means you get a paycheck because they felt like working again because the Democrats finally realized that this full bullshit where they were like, we have all the leverage in the world. It never worked and it never was going to. Folks, whatever. The economic toll of the shutdown has been significant, and analysts estimate billions has been lost in productivity, delaying spending, while consumer confidence has dipped to its lowest level in nearly 2 years. Financial markets reacted positively to the news of the government's reopening, though economists warn that data disruptions during the shutdown will leave gaps in key indicators such as employment or inflation CPI figures. With those numbers delayed or incomplete, the Federal Reserve faces new uncertainty in determining whether or not to proceed with long anticipated interest rate cuts. I'm guessing so that they're going to do this at the Fed. They try to move. The Fed isn't moving in the shadows. The Fed is going to be like Jerome Powell. Listen, he's a silver fox. I think he's more of a silver fox than James Gunn. James Gunn is an egomaniac who for some reason feels the need to write himself into every TV show. I'm sorry. I know that it's probably not him. I understand that it's probably all of these shows not wanting to get canceled playing kiss ass, but he signs off on it. So he's fine with Clayface making a chair for him and treating him like a god. He's fine with all these shows treating him like he's this grand visionary when really he's just a dork. It's true. It's really true. He's just a dork. And honestly, the Superman movie, it was fine. It was fine enough. It wasn't great. I'm not going to lie to you because the fact is that they really messed with I'm not a fan of the origin around his parents because it's a rejection of the idea that Jor-El, his father, Marlon Brando from the original. I'm probably not pronouncing his name right. I'm not a fucking dork. I don't remember everything. I don't remember every detail of comics because I'm not a loser. I'm sorry. That's just the facts. But I'm enough of a fan to realize that you cannot mess with the fundamental code of that it is passed on to him, his Kryptonian heritage. His father was an inherently good person. I'm sorry, and I understand that some people have their interpretations where he's not. I'm not a fan of the idea that your actions make you who you are. Your overall message doesn't really matter, but as long as you just do good things, that's what matters. I don't love that. I love the vehement responsibility factor in the original. I'm sorry. I think that the Christopher Reeves version was superior on mostly every level. It's Lex Luthor wasn't as good because what's his name is fucking hot, and that's fine. That's whatever. What are we saying anymore? I don't know. What are you saying? Now I'm talking like Tucker Carlson. Whatever. The situation has heightened volatility, in bond and currency markets as investors weigh the prospects of a slower recovery in the federal operations and delayed economic reporting. Folks, all this shit doesn't matter. It really doesn't. It's whatever. I don't care. I really don't care if I'm revealing my cards, if I'm throwing them on the table. It's whatever. I was happy with the shutdown continuing because I was like, you know what? It gives me something to talk about every day. And I can tell my kids that I lived through history with the longest government shutdown in history. It's cool. It's great. This is the part that really matters. This is the part that's going to twist the titties. In the wake of the shutdown's resolution, another major policy development has emerged on Capitol Hill. Sweeping changes to the hemp and THC regulation. Congress has approved new restrictions aimed at closing what lawmakers call a, quote, farm bill loophole, a provision in the 2018 Farm Bill that legalized hemp, but inadvertently allowed for the proliferation of psychoactive hemp-derived products such as Delta-8 THC. The new legislation redefines the allowable threshold for THC content and imposes tighter oversight on the manufacture and sale of hemp derivatives. Lawmakers argue that the move is necessary to protect consumers and close the regulatory gaps that have fueled the unregulated market. However, the hemp industry is warning of severe economic consequences. Advocates say that changes could devastate a sector that has grown into a multi-billion dollar industry employing tens of thousands across rural America. When's the last time that anybody cared about farmers? Be honest with you. You don't give a shit about the farmers. You just eat the food that they grow you. You don't care about them though. That's honest. That's honest American shit. If you come from California or New York, you don't give a shit about the farmers. You don't know any of them. It's fine. It's whatever. All you know is that you need to re-divert all of their water subsidies to your almond farms. I get that. That makes sense. Starve them out. Starve out the farmers. I get it. It's vintage. It's a China method, but we're going to do it over here. Whatever. All right. Small farmers and startups have invested heavily in hemp processing could face bankruptcy under the new rules, while legal experts predict a wave of litigation over product classification and state compliance. The reforms are also reigniting the broader national debate over the cannabis policy, particularly as several states move toward broader legalization and federal lawmakers remain divided on how to regulate the expanding marketplace. Taken all together, the end of the government shutdown and the hemp's bill passage illustrate a shifting landscape in the United States governments and policymaking in late 2025. The reopening of the federal government brings short-term relief and economic stabilization, as far as we know. But the aftershocks from the disrupted data, the shaken confidence in Washington's ability to govern, will linger. Don't think it won't. At the same time, Congress's push to tighten up hemp regulations underscores how rapidly evolving industries can outpace federal law, forcing lawmakers to revisit the balance between innovation, safety, and economic opportunity. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at what Care 11 News has to say about this.
THC seltzers, the beverages that have grown in popularity as an alternative to alcohol for the last several years, may soon be banned. A provision in the bill that would end the government shutdown effectively bans THC products derived from hemp, and that has craft breweries in Minnesota scrambling. Care 11's Lou Ragoose is here with more on the impact. Lou?
Julie, supporters of the provision, including Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, claim Congress never intended to legalize THC derived from hemp in the first place. But industry leaders say it's been a lifeline for Minnesota breweries, many of which they believe will now go out of business.
Many of which sucked, by the way. They only served IPAs before they had the THC drinks. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not a bar guy. I've never been a bar guy. Never been a bar person. I've never had the big urge to go out and drink with people. I'd rather sit at home. I'd rather sit at home. It's what I'd rather do. But I understand that the beer culture, the bar culture, it's still alive with Gen Z to some extent. But it's a different era. I think that, you know what, I'm going to wait until the end of this clip. I'm going to wait until the end of the greater clip to give you guys the Ollie take of this, because actually, the Ollie take of this is going to be outside of the box. It's going to be something that you probably haven't even considered for yourself. It's going to be something that, honestly, you're going to look at and you're going to think that's quite a revolutionary way of thinking about this. Let's go ahead and let's just finish this up.
For Kevin Hilliard,
So we make 5 milligram variety packs.
co-owner of Insight Brewing Company, Flavor Pixels aren't just his top seller.
In our world, about 62% of our revenue comes from hemp-based THC.
The ability to sell the THC seltzers kept the business afloat after the COVID-19 pandemic.
I think that this was absolutely critical for Insight Brewing Company to survive.
But craft breweries like his are at risk if Congress effectively makes hemp-based THC beverages a federally illegal product.
The initial response was anxiety.
Do
In
it.
2018, when Congress passed the Farm Bill, it legalized hemp-derived products, allowing for the creation of seltzers like Flavor Pixels.
If you were alive in the 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021 era, I would say right around the time when Delta 8, Delta 9s, and the Delta THCAs and shit, when all those hemp-derived whatevers were hitting the market, what a time to be alive. Listen, they were unmatched. Their ability to mess you up. Me and my fiance, we tripped out so hard on THCAs. We tripped out hard on Delta 9s, Delta 8s. we were living in DL at the time, Detroit Lakes, and we would make the 45-hour drive up to Fargo, I would say every weekend. We would get this one person to run into the store for us, and they would go, and we'd give them a list. It was like really oriented. It was like, we want this many vapes, this many edibles, this much milligram content. We were very scientific about it because I understood that it's like, we have to get the most bang for our buck. It's kind of like when you become an adult and you listen, the adults, they shop by ABV. They do not shop by flavor. Every adult knows that, and it's a fact. So, listen, I remember getting these products all the time, and then all the research started coming out that these other derivatives that were not related to pure THC were actually bad for your mental health in some regards. Vapes with the Delta 9, Delta 8s and whatnot, significantly higher risk for schizophrenia. All these things coming out, and I didn't stop using them. I kept firmly getting dazed pens up until I'd say 23. 23 was a big year where I started to shift towards, I was smoking vapes all the time before that, and then I started to pivot to green, because green is just like, it's reliable, it's a ceremony. It's literally, a vape is so mechanicalized. Do you understand where it's like you can hit it wherever you want, whenever anxiety comes? I love the way that Jews talked about this on a podcast. It was these Orthodox Jews on the podcast where they were like, the vape, it's disgusting. The vape, and then the stress is gone. The slightest bit of stress, you put it down. And I'm like, I feel that, because then they described, back in the day, at least you had to grind it up, you had to put it in the paper, you had to roll it up, you had to take a moment for yourself, I feel that 1000%. There is something religious to me about rolling up a nice doink. There is something, a nice overstuffed joint after whatever, anything, a family experience, a long day of work, anything. It's a teleporting experience. It's beyond, it's transcending. Folks, let's go ahead and let's finish this, because this is bad. This is just really bad for people.
But a letter signed by 38 attorneys general, including Minnesota's Keith Ellison, asked Congress to close what they call a loophole that allows
Keith Ellison.
Frankenstein THC products that get adults high and harm and even kill children. While those concerns stem from illicit gummies that appeal to kids, industry experts say the law change would also affect THC beverages. Seltzers usually come in cans with 5 milligrams or 10 milligrams of THC, but this new federal law will limit the amount to 0.4 milligrams.
Oh.
You don't feel anything at 0.4 milligrams, which is part of the reason why they chose it.
Bob Galligan of the Minnesota Craft Brewers Guild says the federal law would decimate the industry. He says breweries would no longer be allowed to sell products out of state. All aspects of their production and distribution would have to occur in Minnesota, and they'd have trouble finding banks willing to offer loans for a federally illegal product.
Would some of them potentially go out of business because of this?
Absolutely, yeah.
I feel cautiously optimistic.
Well, Kevin hopes the state provides them a way to pivot their business under the new rules.
Well, no, it's not going to happen. All right. Let's hit this clip from WCCO News real quick. It'll be the final wrap-up before I give you my end take of this bullshit.
This proposed deal to reopen the government is getting pushback from an unexpected group, and that would be Minnesota breweries.
Many of them say provision in the spending bill to strictly limit hemp products would decimate the THC industry. As the bill stands, it would limit THC content to 0.4 milligrams per container, which the Craft Brewers Guild says isn't even enough to impact the human body. Perspective for you. Drinks are between 5 to 10 milligrams of THC per serving. Proponents of the provision say hemp products need more regulation across the country. Breweries have increasingly relied on selling THC drinks as some consumers are looking for alcohol-free alternatives.
Okay. Folks, we need marijuana to be illegal again. We need to go full federal. I think state level, we need to knock it off with the whole keep medical. All right, sure. If you're a veteran, if you have cancer, if you have ALS, if you have sleeping disorders, yes, keep the medical shit open and make medical cards easy to get. This whole thing where we do THC is like the new alcohol. Listen, the world is built in a certain way. These old world systems predate you by hundreds of thousands of years. Listen, Alcohol, to a certain extent, it's ingrained in every culture. Every culture in the world accepts it. It kills way more people. It's way more dangerous than weed. And that's why we love it. It is an ultimate pacifier. It doesn't inspire any deep thought. It doesn't inspire anything revolutionary in your mind. Neither does weed, quite frankly, but for some people it might. But, the world and its personalities have started to suck. Smoking weed is not cool or unique anymore. It sucks. Listen. The only reason that I do it is because I genuinely like to do it. It's like those people who drink for the image versus they drink because it's not that easy to be drunk all the time. Tyrion Lannister said it. Everyone would do it if it were easy. It's not this easy being high all the time. Everyone would do it if it were easy. Listen. It's like being drunk without the risk. Back in the day when you had to meet up with an engine in a car at a CVS parking lot, where you didn't know when he was gonna, tackle you, start scratching at your face, getting weed meant something. People's parents are buying weed from the same dealers. Do you realize that, you'll go to your dealer, and then your mom is gonna be ripping off of his piece, and then, not his dick, but from his bong, I should have said that better. Your mom is going to be over there, she's going to be smoking with your dealer. And that's just how it works in these days. Everybody, it's so destigmatized. And honestly, there was a little bit of an allure. There was a little bit of something something, tempting, something actually that made it a little bit deep back in the day when it had this cultural stigma where it was it's a gateway drug. It'll lead you down the path to heroin. I kind of miss that era a little bit because then you at least felt like a cultural revolutionary and you didn't feel like a normal fucking, a normie. Everybody hates that feeling. And be honest with me. Be honest with me right now. Do you really think the world has gotten significantly better since the boomers and the Gen Xers have gotten the THC seltzers? Is the world significantly better? They show up with, listen, I hate showing up to a party with people nowadays because they don't bring Miller Lights, they don't bring Coors, they don't bring anything fucking good. I'd accept Keystone and that shit's piss, but they will pull up instead of with alcohol, they'll pull up with these dumbass. Whereas you'd get a 24-pack with alcohol, they'd show up with this 6-pack where you're like, am I even allowed to take one, or is that just for you and your fiance? And it's you're not allowed to, the sharing is off and everything like that. Back in the day when you brought a case of beer, everybody felt comfy taking from it. But when you have these little things where it's 8 per package or whatever, it's 6 packs and it's whatever. Sure, that's fine if you're in a group, but most of the time you're going to hang out with people and that's just not enough to share. 10 milligrams also is fucking nothing, except for, I guess, the boomers and the Gen Xers, where they'll sip that and they'll go to bed. It's because they're old. It's fine. That's how time works. I don't think the world has gotten significantly better ever since we destigmatized weed. I think that you smell it everywhere. You smell it in public spaces. People are just high all the time. I get it because they're me. I'm criticizing people like me. They go to stores high. They just whatever. I'm saying that has the quality of life risen or lessened in general in the major cities of America since the legalization of hemp in those cities? I would say it's decreased. I would say that it's decreased. So speaking as someone who loves weed, I will consume it till the day I die, as long as they don't make it extinct. Like that one plant that the Romans made it go extinct. Listen. We need to go back to a level of, listen, you will have no fun if there's no one telling you what to do. You got to be told that you can't do that. Otherwise, you have to have something to resist against. That's what I'm saying. And drinking is just, it's what the normies should have. We can let the normies have the thing that rots your liver and it'll kill you at the age of 50. Have that. That's perfectly fine.